Hey guys, so I am sitting on the opposite side of the apartment because Lewis is sleeping right now and Oriole's with him. But I noticed today that the stock market went down, and it's because COVID cases are spiking because of the reopening efforts. And here's the thing, I am not surprised at all. I'm not surprised. I think what is going to happen is the stock market is going to tumble. Then you're going to see commentators say, this is the time to buy, this is the time to buy stocks, buy, 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 buy. Stock market will go up, and if the cases go down, it'll continue to go up. And I can't comment in terms of another wave of closures of some sort, but I will not be surprised. And I think what's going to happen is states are going to backtrack on reopening so quickly. It's really up in the air how the stocks will react. But I strongly, strongly believe that it will surge back up because of what I feel to be like market manipulation. So, a little backstory: I had purchased some SPY puts back in April. I was so sure. I was so positive, so sure that the stock market would be crashing down, but it surged. It surged, even though unemployment was going up, even though there was a lockdown. It just blew my mind. It just shocked me so much, and that was the time that I realized that the stock market is absolutely separate from the economy, and that's just how I see things now. I am not, how should I say this? I am not, of course, a professional stock person, but my theory is when it comes to certain stocks, I think it's going to be very. It, there's certain stocks out there that are going to be able to bounce back from whatever dip there is. One of those stocks is Amazon. I felt this like when the markets were taking a hit, because it makes sense to me that if you have people staying indoors and if you have people trying to avoid going out and having contact with other people, then naturally they're going to buy stuff online, right? And I know Walmart has online delivery, but Amazon is like so much bigger. So I do want to make the disclosure as well that the two biggest companies that I have that make up my stock portfolio is Amazon, and then the other one is JD. I fully believe in JD. JD is basically like the Amazon of China, but except they have like logistics and distribution. I've been holding on to that stock um, when it was. I was holding on to that stock before the CEO got arrested. And I believed in it so much that even when it dropped down to 50% of what I purchased, I held on. I thought, no, I'm not gonna give up on this stock. But yeah, I do think that whatever sell-off happens, the market is gonna recover. Like I said, this is just based on my experience and what I see it. I think that when I factor in as well, presidential re-elections coming in, you have to have something that you can run on, right? You have to have something that you can say comfortably to voters or possible voters, hey, look at this. And I'm not going to get too political here, but a lot of the things that I know that he ran on his previous campaign, it didn't seem like it came to fruition at all. So I think the stock market is really that one thing that needs to be protected 100% for sure. I and for that reason, I am not fearful of the stock market long term, at least until the election day passes. I think there will be a tumble, but I expect it to go back up. Yeah. So how low it goes, I have no idea. But I like I said, I fully believe that it will go back up. And because of how it came around last time, there are a few companies that I'm looking into. I'm not going to name them, but I've been wanting to buy these companies for a while. And if it takes a big hit, I'm going to purchase them for sure. Because I think that for whatever reason, these companies seem to bounce and they seem to have like a strong base. And no matter what, yeah, I don't think these companies will die. Yeah. One of those companies um, that I kind of feel like I don't think it would die down or it would kind of recover quickly is Tesla. Even though I'm like, oh, Tesla, Tesla. There's just so much. I kind of think of Tesla having so much volatility. I was, um, I was, I already had Tesla when Elon made that earnings call, and he said something like, "Oh, the questions that he was getting asked on the conference call was stupid," and I remember I cringed so hard. I thought, "Oh my gosh, this is so boneheaded." This is so boneheaded. And that was after. I remember that was after when they had that conference call that came all over the news. That was after the JD CEO was pictured on the news in the orange jumpsuit. So I try to make safe bets, and I don't want to invest in anymore in companies that I feel like the CEO or something might be a little controversial. But I know there's Tesla fanboys out there, so whatever Elon says, they're gonna support him 1,000%. Now, if something happens to Elon for whatever reason, I kind of wonder how Tesla stock will happen. What will happen to that stock? But who knows? Who knows? Yeah. But as far as I am aware of, I don't feel comfortable buying any more Tesla stock just because it's just I don't want to think about what will Elon say today. And he also said that his stock was overvalued publicly, and I remember the stock was taking a hit, and it's almost like he's egging people on, like, yeah, you got it. Just I would think like a CEO, they would always want to hype up their um their company, but for Elon, he just I don't know if he's like a professional troll or what, or he wants to get his stock price lower so he can buy more. I don't know, but or take the company private, but it just agitates me so much. Yeah. Oh yeah, ISIS. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I remember that one. So, yeah. Anyway, so back what I was saying. Yeah. So anybody who owns stocks, my personal belief is stocks will take a tumble. There are stocks that completely defy logic. Why the airlines went up so much in the last month or so, I have no idea. Why cruises went up so much, I have no idea. There was no. I can't imagine. It's not easy to do like social distancing on a plane. People are jammed so tightly on a plane, and then plus you have recirculated air, you would they would lose at least 50% capacity if they practice social distancing. That's one of the reasons why I don't anticipate going to Hawaii anytime soon until this whole thing resolves, because I don't want to be stuck in a sardine can for about 12 hours, risking myself. And last time I heard, Hawaii has what's more calls it? They have that 2 week quarantine period. So if you go to Hawaii, you have to stay on the island for 2 weeks, get tested, and self quarantine yourself for 2 weeks. I'm not looking forward to that. Yeah, yeah. So today it went down. A bunch of stocks went down. Some of them went like 10%. I don't really know too much about telecommunications. However, I do believe this. If you have people who are not going out as much, they're going to be even more reliant on their phone, right? I and I think that's one of the reasons why when it comes to staying at home, you see usages of there's probably like usages of electronics and energy consumption going up since people are not going outdoors as much. At least that's what I'm seeing here. Like you don't really want to go on the subway in New York, for instance. But I don't know too much about AT&T stock. I don't see that it. I think if there's a dip, I expect it to go back up unless there's some sort of company out there that can overshadow AT&T. But I'm not too sure what that is. Yeah. Some airlines say they'll ignore social distancing and pack everyone in restarting. Yeah, that's not gonna work. You know that's not gonna work. I've told family in Hawaii and everything. I tell them like I miss them, and they know and they suggested to me. They said Erica, don't come back to Hawaii for a while because of what's going on. Especially like if I visit my old coworkers, and they're gonna be like, oh my gosh, you came from New York. Oh my god, danger, danger, danger. So, I don't want to be known. I don't want to be targeted as the chick who came back from the the epicenter of sorts. I wanted I wanted to calm down, but yeah, even though I'm miles and thousands of miles apart from family and living friends in Hawaii, it's okay. It's okay. They're still very close to me in my heart. Yeah. So, um, yeah, I don't know how cruises will happen. I don't know how restaurants will survive. It really makes me think that this is going to be, for technology, I expect it to go up. I expect technology, I expect e-commerce to go up. Like I said, if you're staying home, you're going to be buying more stuff. You're going to be buying more stuff to get shipped to home rather than expose yourself. And if you're going to places like Home Depot right now, right, you have to do that social distancing stuff. And I've already complained to you guys. I know this is gonna sound total first world problem here, but I don't care. When I went to Home Depot and I did a live stream on it, you could see that everybody had to wait outside, maintain 6 feet distance from each other, and we had to be outside of the store in the rain. Who wants to sit in the rain or in the sun for extended periods of time just to make one small purchase? Nobody's going to want to do that. That's why Amazon and Walmart and companies like that are succeeding. I look at Amazon today, like they took a little hit, but it wasn't anything really big. I was like, okay, whoop. They're like 2,600 earlier today. I think right now it's like 2,500. Yeah, and I just I just kind of think, yep, if it gets worse, Amazon's gonna make more money. If it gets better, who knows? Maybe people get used to buying Amazon. I've added so many more things on Subscribe and Save on Amazon just because of the lockdown. And I don't anticipate changing it at all. If you live in New York, you don't, and most people don't have a car, and you have to make a commute to places just for specialty items. It's so much easier to just have it ordered online and shipped directly to here, especially if the price is kind of comparable, if it's like slightly cheaper than a grocery store. So for me, I mostly shop at Asian grocery stores if it's something that I can't find in a local store here. And Lewis and I go to like H Mart and we purchase like a basics like gochujang sauce or um, like certain Korean products. You've seen it, like my dried persimmons. I can't buy that on Amazon, but you can see like how I have changed my habits, my spending habits, and I'm thinking, okay, I want to reduce my trips to other stores. Other people, especially now, are going to be doing the same thing. People do not want to make multiple trips to multiple stores because of fear of exposure. Yeah. Oh, US. Oh my God, I don't know how I feel about US oil, you know. Oh. I have no idea. That's one of the things. Like I kind of looked into it, but I when I saw it like drop so much, and then there was that's the oil conflict thing with like Russia and oh, I forgot the other name, Iraq or something like that, or Middle East of some sort. I was like, nope, 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 nope. Yeah, yeah. I mean, there's some things that people were completely banking on. So some people they were people were saying for like the longest time, you can real estate should be going up, right? So SRET is one company. You might want to look it up. SRET, and it was supposed to be kind of safe because it's about I think it's like 100 different high yield high yield, low volatility real estate companies, and because it's kind of diversified, and they had a pretty high dividend too. I want to say it's like 10% or so. I can't remember. But it should be a safe bet, and don't worry about it. Hold on to it. You should be good. So I purchased a little bit in I think 2018 or so. And, I was seeing it go up, right? I was thinking, oh, okay, this is good. This is good. I'm diversifying. I have a high dividend. I'm going to just ride it out. Okay, it's like 40% down since I bought it. Yeah, 40% down. And these are the things that you cannot, I couldn't have anticipated happening to the real estate market, but it makes sense. It makes complete sense to me because when people lose their jobs, they cannot, if they cannot make, if they're struggling to make their rent payment, they sure as hell aren't going to be investing into real estate unless they have a sizable amount of money already or they have a stable job that seems to be unaffected by um, by what's going on with this quarantine stuff. I don't think Lewis was, he's has this idea, or he's been telling people, oh, for $1,000 houses, he would offer them like 400,000 or 250,000. It's never gonna happen. It's never gonna happen because here's the thing. Let's say catastrophe happens. Let's say that people cannot let's say people cannot foreclose on their houses and then you have all this property really really cheap. I know for a fact that you're going to have these multimillionaires or billionaires sweep in, buy all these properties up, and either sit on it or they're going to rent it out. So they will just increase their wealth. That would be the smart thing to do. So for instance, if I was a multimillionaire, that I would think, okay, let me save my money, and if the housing market goes down, that would be the time to sweep in and start buying property to hold on. And so I don't see housing going down that low. I think housing would probably maybe go down like 25% or so, but it would still go by quickly. It wouldn't be like, great deal of the century for houses, buy a house in New York or in New Jersey for super, super cheap. And what people are also not factoring in is that if people see houses for a really good deal, I've seen this happen in Hawaii as well. Multiple family members will come together, pull their money in, buy a property, and try to rent it out. An example is one family I know. So it's a mom and dad and their two sons, right? The two sons work full time. They're over 30 years old. Both of the sons don't have, they've never dated before. They don't have any kids. They don't see themselves dating. And I think it's sad because they have very low self-confidence. So their parents told them, hey, let's pool all our money together. Four people, mom, dad, two sons, and go into a, 15, 30-year mortgage. So the sons are giving their money to the parents, and the parents use that money to buy an apartment, a luxury apartment in Hawaii, and they're renting it out. I was really pissed off when I heard about it because I knew one of the sons, and I I tried to frame it in a nice way, but I basically told them, you know, I understand that your parents see this as a financial investment and they think it's a great idea. But right now, you're living with your parents, so is your brother. What's going to happen if you meet a wonderful chick or wonderful guy and they want to move out or they want to live in a place with you, either rent or buy? You cannot, you know, they're not going to be able to go get into two mortgages. I don't even know if they won't. I doubt they would be able to go into getting a rental with someone because their money is getting locked up with this mortgage that they entered with the brother and the parents. But it happened, you know, the son got pressured in and he kind of gave up in terms of the dating scene. And when I think back on it, I'm still super disappointed. I know some of you guys might disagree with me and say, well, Erica, it was a financial choice and they made their own decision. But I think it's extremely short-sighted. And guess what? The only people who are pocketing from this is really the parents, right? The sons never brought up this opportunity. It would be the parents. And it just really disappointed me. It disappointed me a lot. I mean, I think parents should always push their kids, you know, to lead a life best they can and not use the kids to for financial or monetary gain. That's just my opinion. I've seen it happen a number of times in Hawaii where the the child goes and works, and then shortly after the child works and the parent complains like, oh, you know, the house is too crampy and I want to live in a bigger house. And I think it's completely wrong. I think it's wrong. Like, I understand that maybe if the parents wanted to be recouped in some sort for raising the child, but locking a person into, or trying to lock a person into a 15, 30 year mortgage, so that way the parents can feel like they're living in a bigger house or another apartment. It's so short-sighted. It's not thinking about what the child wants to wants in their future. Like, you're assuming that the child's gonna be single, right? Lewis came home about 3:30 a.m. yesterday. I fell asleep. You know how I was complaining to you guys how I was all alone on the bed and my handsome man Oreo was not with me despite me calling him? Well, when I woke up, Oreo was snuggled up right next to me, like the little good boy he is. The problem is that won't the sons get the money when the parents are dead? Yeah, but you're saying, okay, so that's going to be like another, what, 20, 30 years? You're also not factoring cost of geriatric care. Some parents have to go into care homes, and that costs a lot of money. So it's not like if the parents drop dead in 20, 30 years, it's going to be a huge inheritance. No. And what's going to happen in between? The parents, the sons are still going to live with their parents. I think the parents, and this is just my opinion, I think the parents are very selfish. I think the parents are not encouraging the sons to go out there, and I think the parents are really, you know, the parents just rather keep the sons at home. No, I would never complain about Oreo closing his mouth when he eats. He's very handsome. I don't even notice his chewing issues. He's right now he's sleeping on the bed with Lewis. So I'm here by myself. I think Clinton or Barry is sleeping. Clinton is on the chair right here, and then Barry's sleeping on by the window. So Oriole's the only one on the bed. Yeah. Dominic, you said that the guys are pretty smart getting a home instead of dating all these pains. Tell me, how is that smart? Because yes, they have property. but the parents own it too, and they're renting it out, and the parents are pocketing the money. So imagine if you went into a mortgage with a sibling and you put your income towards that mortgage, you locked it in, and the only one who's getting financial benefit is the parents. And by the way, I do want to add that it's not like the parents were under financial duress and they need that rental income to live. That's not it. It's just that they saw a money making opportunity. And in my opinion, they said, hey, let me lock my two sons in here. And they can get this um, rental income for the foreseeable future while their sons are going to be stuck in a shitty financial position because all their money is going to that mortgage. Yeah, the sons aren't gonna stand up to the parents. But yeah, so anyway, I'm getting a little off track, but that's why I believe that the housing market is not gonna crash nearly as much as Lewis thinks it's gonna be, or his whole yeah. If it's a $800,000 house, I'm gonna offer them 400,000. That is a joke. That is a joke. It's no person will accept it. If I was an owner of a house and I got an offer for 50% of the value, I'd be like, no, I'll just hold on to it. Hold on to it, wait for the market to recover, or wait for some person to give you a higher offer, right? Instead of 50% off, offer them 30% off instead. Yeah, it's wishful thinking, exactly. So, overall, hold up, I gotta get one. Overall, I don't see that this is going to be catastrophic to our economy. I think there will be a lot of pumping in. I think that the um, the wealthy are going to swoop in during any housing crisis, and they just buy a property and snap it up and say, hey, this is a way to increase rental incomes, right? Rental collection incomes, and people will pool their money together. Families will pool their money together, like I see happening in Hawaii. That's how things are. Yeah, I have heard that what you can do, and here's something sneaky, but what you can do is that if a house is listed for sale, instead of going through the realtor, right? So let's say you wanted like 173 Rogers Boulevard, right? And they say that there's a realtor for that location. Instead of going through the realtor, if you can find the owner of that address and contact them directly, then you can cut out the realtor's fee. Because if I remember correctly, the realtor, the buyer is the one who pays for the realtor fees. So it'd be cheaper for the buyer, and it would also be, you know, um, that they don't have to deal with the realtor. If and I don't even know what a realtor really does. If it comes down to doing paperwork, I'm sure they could get a real estate lawyer to help with that. It'll be much cheaper than paying a realtor. What is the realtor, like 2% or so? Yeah. So I'm not very aware of realtors, but all I see them do is just kind of show a place and maybe they stage it and they're like, yeah, this is a great property and blah blah blah, and this is a square footage and here's the price. And they just wait for people to bite. And then when someone says, hey, I'll take that property, then they get an instant, commission on that, and it seems pretty simple. It seems pretty simple, but of course, not all realtors make it. That's what I've heard. Not all realtors make it. It's kind of like you really have to stand out, and you have to um, hustle of some sort. But it depends on the market. Is it a market that's in high demand, or is it some remote area that people aren't really buying property? Oh, talking about that. If you guys haven't tried it, you should try this. I always think it's Vivo, but it's actually Vovo. Yeah. Let me see what I was saying. So, Emily said a lot of businesses will close down because right now business owners are paying for 100% capacity of owners. Sadly, with the virus, they can only have most 80% with everything opens. Yeah, Emily, I was reading about things online, and they were saying that for restaurants, for them to break even for a number of these restaurants, they need to be at 80% capacity on average. Like the profit margins for a good chunk of restaurants are not as lucrative as you think it is. It depends on volume. So for instance, let's say McDonald's, right? You buy a sandwich for, let's say, $1.29. You think that they're raking in big bucks selling that sandwich? No. And the real estate for McDonald's is so expensive, and even though they might be paying their employees minimum wage, it adds up. I really do believe that a lot of businesses are going to be taking huge hits, and we are going to see businesses close down. Nail salons, even though people would like have pretty nails, guess what, the fact of the situation is that people who are used to having their nice and long acrylic nails, because they probably haven't been able to do their nails for the last 2 months, they're looking at their bank account most likely and saying, hey, I'm saving a lot of money because I don't have to get my nails refilled or repainted every 2-3 weeks, and it becomes a new normal. Some people are cutting their own hair. Lewis is a good example of that, right? So before he was paying about, I think he said he was paying $30 for a haircut every 2 weeks. I bought some clippers online and it was $27. So in one haircut, it already broke even, right? One haircut. And then he cut his hair earlier in the week. So that's already 2 haircuts. He can use those clippers for a number of years, and he's gonna come out way ahead. For him, he realized there's really no reason for him to go to a salon or a barbershop anymore. He doesn't go to a salon, he goes to a barbershop. But yeah, there's no reason for him to go to a barbershop anymore. People are gonna find a new normal, they're gonna adjust, and they're gonna like saving their money. But I really do believe that this is causing a recession. We're already in a recession. A lot of the discretionary income is going to be cut out. People aren't going to the movies, right? I think that we will see people streaming movies more. And I remember there was like a chain of movie theaters. I want to say it's AMC, but I might be remembering it wrong. They're gonna have certain titles available so people can watch it from home rather than watching a movie theater. I forgot what it was exactly, but it was set up in a way where they don't have to go to the movie theater to watch movies. And yeah, it's really something. Movie theaters, as you may be aware of, they make so much money from their concessions. Their overpriced popcorn and soda and chips and candy. Yeah, that if they're not having volume right now, they're just probably bleeding out big money right now, because you know how big some of those movie theaters are. In Hawaii, we have this one movie theater. It's called Ward Theaters. It's massive, and it's right in like the prime area of Honolulu. I don't know how much the rent is, but I'm sure they're hemorrhaging money big time right now because they're not having people go into the movie theaters. I'm sure of it. Yeah, $30 is a lot. Yeah, you know what? You think $30 is a lot, Master Blaster? Imagine if you're a woman and you go to a salon. At one point, when I was going to salon and getting my hair cut, it was like $70 to get my hair done. Usually for a woman's haircut, it's like $45. Yeah, I expect the Fed to just print more money. I think Jay Powell would just be like, turn on his money printer and screw over all the people who are buying puts. Just like he did last time. I didn't see that unlimited printing sort of thing go on. So, I covered it earlier, but that's after what happened in April. I do not think the stock market. I think the stock market might take a hit, but there's going to be something done. The stock market's going to go up again, and then it's. I think they're going to try to preserve the stock market as long as they can and inject more money into it. At least until November 6th. If Trump wins the election, expect to see more money put in. Maybe not. Who knows? If he gets reelected, then there's really no reason for him to inject more. But he probably will because I'm sure he has interest holdings in a number of stock, and he doesn't want to see his own stock portfolio go down. Follow the money kind of thing. Finish finish hair. Yeah, I don't know about how durable finish hair is, but that sounds pretty crazy. Finish hair is like Kevlar. Nah, you know what I do? I cut my hair by myself. So I you can either, I mean, like, if you're a woman and you want to learn how to cut your hair, it's super simple. You can just go on YouTube. There's this thing where there's like hair cutting um, clips that you could put in, and you can cut your hair in as little as 30 seconds. You can just use like a rubber band and just like put all your hair in front of your face, put a rubber band right on the top of your forehead, and then put another rubber band lower wherever you want to cut, and then just cut straight across. So even though I have hair cutting clips, I usually just do that method. But yeah, because my hair texture is so wavy and puffy, I don't really see a need to go to a hair salon because I don't straighten my hair. If I don't straighten my hair, even if I have an expensive haircut, you can't tell because of the volume of my hair. Oh, Zimbabwe, you mean like that $1 billion or $1 trillion? And if you want to buy a small amount of like fruit, you give them like a stack of money. Yeah, Venezuela and Zimbabwe did take a big hit. I don't think that that's gonna happen to the U.S. Um, I think we're gonna see rinse and repeat of what happened around March, April, where you have certain news sources say idiotic stuff like, the grandparents don't mind if they pass away in order to save the stock market for their grandkids, and this is the time to buy the stocks, and I expect that to happen. I think the stock market's gonna take a hit, and when it goes lower, people are gonna just snap it up. The stock market will not fail, in my opinion. That's why when if the stock market goes lower, and I expect it to, I'm gonna be expanding my stock portfolio to certain stocks that I was looking to purchase, but I haven't purchased. Yeah, the best of the worst if everyone is putting money like them, I will look. Yeah, well, everyone's kind of like on the same page mostly. I think that people are very reliant on kind of knowing how the U.S. economy is doing as an indicator, of global economy. So if the U.S. stock market tanks, it has an effect on other markets. And we import and we export things where there's a lot of business that goes on in transactions, and if people are not importing, exporting as much as they do, then it's gonna take a hit somewhere. This is something that I could have never ever foreseen though. You tell people, hey, cut your discretionary spending. Stop spending so much money on your hair. Don't go to the movies so much. Eat in more. This has really been forced upon people. Have you guys ever thought about that? All those people who have those money budgeting websites to say, yeah, look where all your money is going. Spend money on basics and cut your spending. Yeah, people are getting forced to do it because they can't go out. I heard Starbucks is increasing, or they're really trying to promote takeout now. They're shifting their strategy. But there is no reason for me to go to Starbucks right now because I think, why would I go to Starbucks? I'd have to grab the drink and I can't even sit inside. I have to just walk around. And yeah, I feel bad for this one coffee shop. There's a coffee shop that is probably about 2 blocks from where we live. Lewis told me that this place got damaged, like some car went into it. I remember that when I had first come into New York around June, right? That coffee shop was boarded up. And it didn't open up until I think January or February of this year. And then they had to close. So they were probably open for maybe about a month or two. And then now they had to close. And now they're reopened. And the sad thing is that I don't see anybody going in there. I don't foresee why people would even go there. If you want to buy coffee, you just make it yourself. This is the prime time for people to buy their own espresso machines or Keurig machines. And you limit your contact with people. Yeah, Tesla's like a fanboy stock. There's certain fanboy stocks that I don't expect them to really take a hit because their fanboys will be like, okay, the stock went down. Um, the stock went down. Buy, 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 buy. And this is the time to buy. And Tesla's one of those companies. But like I said, if anything happens to Elon, I kind of worry about Tesla. Kind of worry about it. Yeah. But then something, of course, Steve Jobs passed away and he stepped down, and Apple's doing perfectly fine. So, who knows? But I think people really like Elon more than they like Tesla. Yeah, the Muscat. Yep. Yeah, Nespresso pods are really good machines. I remember I saw one at Williams Sonoma, and I tried one, and I was kind of impressed by it. I was like, this is good. The only bad thing is that those things are kind of pricey, and I don't like those disposables, but I have nothing bad to say about Nespresso machines. They're nice. Yeah, I'm not too familiar with Walt Disney, so I can't comment on that. Oh, I love Dr. Pepper. You know what? You know what? One of my favorite sodas to mix in is Dr. Pepper and Coca-Cola. Yeah, Dr. Pepper and Coca-Cola. I like to mix it. I think I like putting in 75% Coca-Cola and then 25% Dr. Pepper. So you have like a Dr. Pepper aftertaste. Yeah, but I haven't done that in such a long time. You know what else? Yeah, Starbucks is closing at least 400 stores. Oh, well, that's not surprising. I haven't been keeping up with Starbucks, but I know that they had this ambitious strategy, or they're strategy was to focus more on takeaway, and I'm like, well, yeah, no, no. Of course that has to be it. People can't sit inside. They really depend on foot traffic. People usually shop at the malls, right? After they go shopping a bit, then they're like, "Oh, I need a drink. Oh, look, Starbucks has a refreshers drink. Let me buy it." And it kind of goes hand in hand. But if people are not shopping in the malls, why would they go to Starbucks? Why would they want to spend $40 for a drink? Or if they're not working in their offices, why can't you just buy like a Nespresso machine or a Keurig machine and or French press and just do it yourself? Oh, wow, look at Jim. He has biodegradable pods. Yeah, I don't know if the US we have biodegradable pods, but are they really biodegradable? Because I've heard some plastics they list them as biodegradable, but all they do is they just break up as tiny and tinier pieces. I'm not too familiar with that though. Okay, Dominic, don't rub it in. UK Coca-Cola is better than US Coca-Cola. I'm sure it is. US Coca-Cola is not made out of real sugar. It's like corn syrup. Mexican Coca-Cola or Jewish Coca-Cola or kosher Coca-Cola. I forgot what you call it, but it's made out of real sugar, not this corn syrup stuff. Really? Coca-Cola and Fanta? Okay, what kind of Fanta do you use? Okay. Yeah, I know. We don't have as good stuff here in the United States. We're like corn syrup central over here. I know. Oh, so let me show you guys this now that I'm over here. So I never tried this yet, but this was in the Ireland. Um, this was in the Ireland box, the patty box. You see that? I saw this and I thought it was Volvo. See it? I was like, this is not Volvo. This is separate than Volvo. Yeah. So this is from Australia, and this is from Ireland. But they look very similar to me. Like it's like a raspberry or strawberry looking thing with coconut on top. Yeah. Oh, see? Look. Soft, crumbly biscuits topped with pink mallow and raspberry flavored, sprinkled with coconut. And this is raspberry biscuit. Whoop. Raspberry biscuit, and you can see that there's coconut on there too. So are they the same? Who knows? I should do a taste test right now. Are the ingredients the same? Let's see. Let's see here. Similar, but it's not the same. So these are the... So this one looks shorter than this one. See, this one has like a lot more stuff in it. Anti-foaming agents. Yeah, that doesn't sound... I see ammonia and bicarbonate. I'm like, what? It sounds too close to ammonia. I'm sure it's tasty though. Oh, look at that. Anti-foaming agents. Acidity regulators. That's a lot more exact. Gelling agent. Look at that. You know, in the US, they would not put that in. They would not. They would not distinctively identify what does what. Okay, so the Coca-Cola and Fanta. What was the flavor of Fanta? I'm just curious. Oh, yeah, it doesn't look like it's the same thing. But I'm gonna try it, and let me grab a plate. I was hoping this would be individually packed, but it isn't. Oh, it is separate, actually. I mean, it's not separate, but it is different. Oh, it is. Oh, wow, this is strange. This is strange. Oh, jeez. Okay, this is strange. So, you see how it's like one by itself? If you take it out from the packaging over here, because it's marshmallow fluff, it's hard to. You see it? It's soft too. I don't know if it was supposed to be soft, but it's soft. It's like eating. This is really soft. It's kind of weird. It's like biting into a muffin. But then you taste this like the Volvo kind of taste to it. You see it? Yeah, it's like biting into a muffin. It's strangely soft. Versus Volvo. Volvo is like a biscuit. See that? So, if you like Volvos, you'll probably like this Mikado thing. But yeah, it's just really sweet, that Mikado thing. Volvo tastes pretty nice with coffee or tea, but by itself it's really sweet. If they made it any sweeter, you can't afford it. Yeah, it's really sweet. But at least I can tell you how it is. But it's kind of interesting to me how some snacks you can kind of see that they have similar counterparts in different countries. And I made a bunch of crumbs, so I gotta clean it up. Clinton is off on the side here. Ooh. Ah, Fanta's orange. Yeah, because I've seen like punch, I think punch flavored or strawberry flavored Fanta over here. Grape, I think grape, there's grape Fanta over here too. That's when someone recommended put 75% Coca-Cola and then 25% Fanta. I didn't know what flavor they really like. Everyone's talking about that. Yeah, that's why I don't think the stock market is gonna crash. There's too, I mean, catastrophically, there's too much vested interest in it. But if there is a sizable dip, guarantee you I will buy. So I didn't put any money, like for instance, in my I forgot to put in money for Roth IRA in 2019. And then when the stock market started crashing, I thought, oh crap, this is the time I should put in that my max contribution for Roth. So I put it in, and I diversified into a bunch of companies or like VOO and Spy and things like that. I think there was five. I can't remember off the top of my head which one I put in, but it's went up like I think about 15 or 20% since I put that money in. And it just blew my mind. I was telling Lewis that I said, why is, I said, I don't understand why I put money into heavily diversified holdings. And even though so many people are out of work, stores are closing, people cannot, they're not going on cruise ships or airlines, the stock market's going up. I can't remember what the stock signs all of them were, but I remember I had like, I want to say like VOO, DIA, SPY, SPY. Yeah. There's two more, but I can't remember off the top of my head what it is. Do I have a job? So my job right now is just to make Lewis's life easier. But I do have savings and I do have money that I play around with. Stock market is going to be protected. It's separate from the economy. My mistake in April was I thought that it was intertwined, and it obviously wasn't. Yeah, so what I do is in the morning, he wakes up, I have breakfast ready, I make him lunch. Okay, let me rewind, okay? So for instance, what I did today. So he woke up, I already had breakfast ready. He went and he was on the computer replying to emails, doing tickets, reading articles. And then I made him lunch. I took care of the cats, cleaned up a bit. Yeah. And then I had to put away laundry. Yeah. So basically, almost everything that's inside of the apartment, that's what I handle. But yeah, it's just like sometimes it irks me. I'm gonna be honest with you. Like he'll tell me, Erica, the cats don't have water, and I'm like, well, why are you telling me the cats are low on water? Why don't you just refill it, right? Instead of telling me, like, oh, the cat puked. Okay, if you saw the cat puked, clean it up. But I do it. I change the water and I clean the cat puke and I scoop the litter box. That's why I'm so on it with the cat care. I really am. Like you see me combing the cats, you see me taking care of the cats, and if there's any problem with the cat care, that falls on me. So I can tell you with 100% certainty that with me taking care of the cats have a significantly better life. He has no desire to do that, Tarman. And I had shared it with you guys earlier, or yesterday actually. He said that and he's written it in like YouTube comments as well, so this is not new information, but he's known people where they get divorces, and because they get a divorce, the wife gets like half of it, or she gets, a share of it, or the guy has to pay alimony, and he doesn't want to do that. He doesn't want to do that. So he thinks that there's too much risk to him, and because of that, he doesn't want to get married. But I did tell him that I do feel that he should have a will set up. The reason being is that if something happens to him, or healthcare directive, I'm not asking him to put me on there, but if anything happens, like if anything catastrophic happens to him, I know for a fact I cannot make any decisions, right? But I don't have his family's contact information. So if anything happens to him, God forbid, it needs to be very clear on who can make healthcare choices for him, and also what will happen in case he does pass away in an untimely fashion. What happens to like the cats? What happens to his business? Because you don't want everything to like abruptly shut down. If everything gets transferred to his dad, let's say, then it's pretty smooth. Versus, okay, hold up, they don't have any contact information. I don't have any contact information as well. Because there are certain things like he is the only one who has access to. So I don't want it to be like if he is in the hospital for a month, everything falls to pieces because no one else can have access to those things. Yeah. And this is, it like I said, it's not, for most people, right? You would say, I wouldn't tell people, yeah, if anything happens, you really have to consider about certain decisions in your life. But I don't want something to happen to him and then it just like, while he's recovering, certain thing goes into limbo. That's what I'm saying. His dad lives in another state, in the Midwest or something. That's why you hear me say stuff like, don't slow down and be careful, because I know if anything happens to him, it's not just him, right? He has so many employees who work under him, and I I don't want them to have to lose their job automatically because of something that happened. It's not the title of marriage, really, from my understanding. It's the possible financial um ties that is attached with it. So I don't I don't want to. How would I say this? I think the dangerous thing is it kind of gets into the territory that how would I say this? Yeah, I told him that, Siki, I said, you could always get a prenup, but I told him Donald Trump got a prenup. Donald Trump, at least a multimillionaire. But he believes that prenups are invalid and it can get thrown out or it doesn't get enforced. And I think that's ludicrous. I don't think that prenups, if a legal document, it's like, you can just say, like, yeah, don't enforce it. There's a reason why people have prenups, and there's a reason why it is heavily recommended, because it does work. Yeah, he's not. He doesn't even want to risk anything. That's what I'm getting at. But it kind of makes me think that it can, like with that kind of thing, I feel like I understand the thinking behind it, but I also think that it it sends a message like there's no trust. And I know some people will probably jump on the bandwagon and say, well, no woman should be trusted and things like that. And there are still some people who say, oh, Erica, you must be a huge gold digger, a massive gold digger for. And these are probably people who've never really heard me speak outside of his main channel, but it just it just makes me think like I know people who have had successful marriages. I've known people who have had long marriages, and it's it's not like it's a money grubbing thing where the woman will go out of her way to screw over a guy intentionally. But I think that he's also been, because of his experiences or because what he's heard from people who have had bad marriages, it affects the way he views things. But here's something that I kind of think of. I think of it this way. What happened in that marriage that caused that woman to have such a visceral response? You see what I'm saying? Like, if a woman goes out of her way to do certain things, there has to be a reason for it. She doesn't just up and say, hey, if the woman's been married for, let's say, 10 years, she doesn't just say, hey, let me go ahead and screw over the guy that I've been married to for 10 years for no reason. There's always a reason why. Sometimes it's because the guy cheats. Sometimes it's because, there's something there's something that comes out, or usually it's that. But yeah, I don't think that I feel like when those kind of situations occur, you have to look at both parties. You cannot just like focus on one party, especially if you don't know all the information. You see what I'm saying? No, I mean, like, I was very direct with him. I said, you don't have to. I just want you to know that if he doesn't have anything set up, everything automatically will go to his dad. And it gets problematic because they would have to track down his dad, right? What about his business in the meantime? Does he want all his cats to go to his dad? Does he want everything he owns to go to his dad? And yeah. Like, if anything happens to Lewis, for sure, I would. I don't think I could take in all three cats, but I could. Yeah, yeah, three cats might be a little much, but actually, I don't know. I think I'd try to keep the trio if anything happened to him, but I would not stay in New York if anything. If he did pass away or something, I'd probably move back to Hawaii. Yeah, for him, it's like I've spoken to him about it, and he says like he doesn't really think too much about mortality is because when he dies, and that's someone else's issue to deal with, kind of thing. But I told him, I said, I don't think having that kind of mindset is really the way to go, because there are people who, and I can talk from experience, right? I can talk from experience because I had a really good relationship with my mom. When someone passes away, it becomes a cluster when dealing with assets. It really is. For me, like, it was pretty straightforward in my family, right? Where all the assets went when my mom passed away, but I lived with my mom. I wasn't in another state, and in terms of funeral arrangement, I had, family, of course, helped with that as well. And yeah, I don't I honestly should have something set up for myself, but I don't. And I think part of it is because I've kind of gotten, like, I think, well, I don't really expose myself to that much risk. But, I probably should. If I had a advanced healthcare directive, at this point in time, I would have everything for my dad. Um, just because. Yeah, I think his concern is that, let's say we did get married, right? Let's just say that. Let's say we did get married and I divorced him and I wanted half of his business. I told him, I said, I would not want half of your business, um, at all. That's his baby, and I respect that and I understand that. It wouldn't even work because if we got married and we got divorced, I wouldn't even stay in New York. I would go back to Hawaii. And I'm not that kind of person. I know it sounds cliche, but not all women are like that. Not all women are the same, and they're not all, um, they're not gonna say, hey, let me screw you over in like in years, and I'm a ticking time bomb kind of thing. Yeah, he doesn't believe in prenups though. He thinks prenups are not enforceable or they don't hold anything in the court. But I've spoken to him about it. But and I've shared it. That my concern though is that if you don't get married, right? Well, what about a child? If you have a child, what happens with the last name situation? Well, how do you answer things such as, oh, um, parents aren't married, but they really care about each other, and the reason why they're not married is because the dad doesn't trust the mom. You see what I'm saying? Like, I just, yeah. You get what I'm saying though? A blood oath? I don't like this blood oath thing. For me, like, I've always, I haven't really thought too far ahead, but I always think like how, like if I had a child, right, I would want to be very transparent with them, and I would want them to be in a very loving and uh, in a very loving relationship where there's a lot of openness and they can learn and become um, really great citizens in the world. I was fortunate that when I was growing up, I had such a supportive and loving family. Um, I, of course, my parents disagreed about things, but they always came back together. And my my mom, my mom just stayed at home, and she was like the bubbly one. My dad worked, and I remember that whenever I came home, she would always have food ready and everything, and she was so happy to see me and things like that. And you can kind of see how I am and how that has shaped me to be the person that I am. My mom was a very kind person. She was so warm. I mean, I swear she probably could have made friends with the wall. She was so friendly, and when she passed away, it's like a ray of sunshine went away. But yeah, that's something like I think because my parents had a really great marriage and they were really such a fantastic team. I never really had to think about you know other marriages and how husbands have gotten screwed over by their wives or one person cheated and things like that. And neither do I pay attention really to those things because I don't I've always entered it this way. Like whenever I enter a relationship with a person, I never hold my experiences from past relationships and hold that against the person that I'm dating. You see what I'm saying? So like, for instance, I dated a guy in the past, and he had anger issues, right? I don't, I never ever thought, hey, a guy that I'm dating, he's gonna have anger issues as well, because I recognize that it's completely unfair to hold the past against a new person. It's wrong. It's unfair. It's 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 setting up that person for having to pay for the mistakes that another person did. You see? You see what I'm saying? No, I mean like my mom passed away over 10 years ago, and there's still people who remember her. I had a family friend reach out to me earlier in the week. I haven't spoken to them in at least 10 years, okay? That's how long I haven't spoken to them. And they asked me how I was, and I said I was good, and they said, they were thinking about me and things like that. And I was really touched by it. And yeah, I was like, oh my goodness, it's like they were telling me how there's some memories that they had with my mom, how she always made people laugh, and yeah, it's one of those things. But so I'm I don't think I'm overanalyzing things. I think this is the way things are. So it's not that it's not like I'm blowing things out of proportion at all. I'm just being very open about it. I mean, of course, I take every day, I take one day at a time. That's always been my philosophy on life. I think worrying about the future, it doesn't do any good. It doesn't, it just causes unnecessary stress. But I take every day as, as it comes, and I, I just am happy that that I have, great people in my life. But I have, and I will share this. Like, I used to have an, did you see my comments? He doesn't like going on vacations because he thinks it's boring to not do anything productive. Basically, he wakes up and he just works and works and works and works. And that's it. But okay, yeah, so back to what I was saying. Yeah, I think having divorced parents really does shape someone though. And like I dated a guy in the past, and he told me that because of his parents' divorce, it really affected him negatively. So this is what happened with them. The dad was in the military, and the mom was she stayed at home taking care of two kids. because he was busy serving the country, he depended on her to make sure that everything at home was okay. He did not know she was spending so much money on things, and she was a shopaholic of sorts. He comes back, and and this was going on for a while, but he decides he wants to look at the bank account. And she blows up at him. She gets really defensive, saying, why do you want to look at the bank account? Don't you trust me? Don't you trust me? And he sees the bank account and finds out that they're over $20,000 in debt because she was hiding these things from him. There might have been something else, but I wasn't made aware of it. But he divorced her. She took custody of both of the kids, and she took custody of both of the kids, and because he was in another state, and he never saw his kids for years, because what he didn't know was that the wife was monitoring phone calls between the sons and the dad. So according to visitation laws and visitation and custody, they had an agreement where the sons were supposed to fly up to see him every summer, but the mom claimed that the sons didn't want to see him, or they were busy with school. Yeah, year-round school. And the dad just let it go. He thought the sons hated him, and they didn't want to see him. He took the mom's word because the sons didn't feel comfortable speaking out on the phone, because the mom was listening in on the phone calls, right? And he found out later the truth of it, of what was going on, and the mom has so much resentment towards the dad that even at she has so much resentment and hatred for the dad. That's all I'm gonna say about it. But I think she dug her own grave on that one. The dad remarried. I met the new wife. She's so sweet. She's such a great person, and yeah, it's the dad got shafted in that marriage. But here's the thing, right? He remarried and he met a better woman, and even though they don't have any kids together, they make a really good match. Really good match. Yeah. Like the dangerous thing. Like, if people don't keep track of the bank accounts or the finances, it's easy for, like, if one person has like a shopping problem or like a gambling addiction, it's easy to go out of control. I heard in Japan, like the husband usually gives his whole paycheck to the wife, and then the wife kind of manages expenses. I don't know if that still holds up, but that's what I heard. But also, I'm very aware that in Japan, the 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 marriage rate is very low. It's more people are single, more people aren't having kids. See ya, Tarman. You know what? I think if Anderson Cooper, for instance, that he's on the news, he's on CNN. He recently had a son with a surrogate, and I was so happy for him. I thought, he said that he knew he was gay when he was 12 years old, and he thought he could never become a father, and now him being a father is really a dream come true, and I thought it was such a beautiful thing. So and when I read stories about that, where gay couples have children, whether it be adoption or via surrogate, I'm very happy for them. And I think that it also, if a child is born to a gay couple, it promotes more understanding and love in the world. And I know some people will disagree with me on that, but when it comes down to it, judge people on their character. Don't judge people on how they look or their race or their religion and things like that. Judge them for the people that they are. That's okay. You know. I know there's some topics that people will consider like not to be politically correct, or you should never mention this kind of stuff, but no, that's how I feel about it. As long as people are good people, I don't care about those sort of things. Nobody can control what bodies we're in. Nobody can, like, I couldn't control that I was, born as a female Asian. I had no control over that at all. But what I can control is what kind of person I am and how I treat others. And I've always believed, and this sounds kind of idealistic here, but I've always believed that people just need to just remember that other people on the street, they have feelings and they have emotions, and it's not that they're immune to hateful words, so it's important to be very, very kind to them and be respectful. Like if I heard some hateful things said down to me, it would affect me. So yeah, I accept people for whatever religious or differences they have, or other things. But yeah, I just judge people on how they treat others and how they treat themselves, and I just hope that there's a lot of love and kindness in the world, and that will make the world a better place. And not blanket state, not placing, letting a few people or a few um, wrongdoers affect how you see like a rest of a group. You see what I'm saying? Like I judge each person individually. It seems like there's a discussion in chat. Hold on, I'll be right back. Okay, I missed something. Oh, ages are. I'm just waiting for someone to come into the chat and say, oh, I just turned 14. I'm just kidding. No, 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 no. It's fine. It's fine. I mean, people are different, right? Everybody has their own opinions. But that's, the difference is what kind of makes the world an interesting place. I think that, though, we all need to be respectful of one another. And as long as we can understand that people have differing opinions and they just move on with their life, and hopefully these people are good people. And when I say good people, it's like they treat people well. They aren't jerks or anything like that. And I could, it's like I accept that people come from all different backgrounds and they have certain beliefs, and that's fine. So you said no, it's not fine. Well, no. I'm kind of confused because I understand that you probably have a different belief than me. Yeah, well, everybody can be a jerk sometimes, right? It's if someone has a bad day, they could be a mean person, but I think at the end of the day, see how they are overall and judge them from there. But if you feel like you're being an asshole to a person, you can always control yourself instead of. I mean, I don't know how you're an asshole to someone, but if you're saying things that are a little bit mean to them, maybe tone down the language or something. Because I find that sometimes when people say things, if they don't word it in a certain way, it can have very lasting and devastating effects on people. Like there are sometimes that when I speak to people, I lose my temper as well, but I never resort to name calling. I never ever do. Um, I always try to. I question things sometimes, but I never make personal attacks. And that's just because I feel strongly that if I was on the other side, right, would I appreciate if someone spoke to me in a condescending manner? I would not. Aw. The people that help. That sounded really hilarious. Uh, the people's elbow. For some reason, I thought of wrestling for whatever reason. Yeah, one thing I think being in Hawaii, really shaped me is that people there are so warm and friendly. Well, for the most part, people are very warm, friendly. Um, they're like little. They're very. They tend to be kind of happy, you know, and because it's such a small island. I know some people are like really small island, Erica, but because it's like the community is small, or you're really close to your neighbors and things like that. You just think like, hey, well, we're all gonna be respectful for each other. We're all gonna be, um, we show a lot of care to one another, and yeah, I think that's one of the reasons why I'm not. I could be a meaner person, but I'm not because it's just living in Hawaii. Yeah, people are nice. Yeah, it's several islands. So I live on Oahu. I live in Honolulu. Warm, sunny. Yeah, it's not anything. If you guys have ever watched Moana, Hawaii does not look like that. Okay, I do not walk around in a hula skirt. I don't sail on a canoe or anything like that. No, not really. There are some people who I've met a few people in my life who kind of keep to themselves, and it, it's it's not like everybody is like a little Oreo cat in Hawaii. But overall, you can tell people in general have really good hearts, and yeah, they're very sweet people. They have to. I have never. I don't go to a Paul Daniel stream. I've popped into Eli a few times. Oriel likes to watch Eli videos every so often. But yeah, sometimes I've gone to the Eli streams and I turn it on and I'm like, why is Eli rubbing his nipples? Like I don't get it, but it's strange. It might be something that his viewers um are aware of, like an inside thing. But yeah, for me when I look at him, I'm like, whoa. Yeah, it's predominantly Asian in Hawaii, so in Honolulu, most of the people that I see walking around, they're all Asian, Chinese, yeah, Chinese, Japanese, Korean, Filipino, yeah. No, no, Eli does not pay for the cats to subscribe to him. Yeah, it's the sad thing about it is due to the so of course the native Hawaiians were very self-sufficient for the longest amount of time, right? And then the military came over, right? The queen was overthrown. The U.S. government stepped in. The military came in, and then you have all these immigrants. Um, and then they make businesses. Housing goes up, and a lot of these native Hawaiians, they're either in Hawaiian homelands areas like where they can live, or but I've also heard that a lot of native Hawaiians are homeless, and it saddens me because these islands are their home, but the price of housing is so expensive in Honolulu or on Oahu that people can't afford the mortgages there. They can't afford the mortgages. The rents can be really pricey as well, and you just price them out. I think it's very, very sad. And the people who are Hawaiian that I know, they are so incredibly warm. They have so much warmth to them. Lewis was asking me what aloha meant, and I was like, "What do you mean aloha?" And he's like, what? He didn't know what a shaka was, and I was like, "You don't know what a shaka is?" And he's like, "No." And I'm like, "What you think? What do you think they're throwing up, like gang symbols on their canoes or something?" No. It's just yeah. But the sad thing is that I noticed that as Hawaii got more and more expensive to live, it became less safe um, to live there. And I'm not saying that Hawaii is anything near like New York levels, but there is like an increase in crime and robberies that go on there. And I think it's because when people um, are not in a great financial position, it's it's lucrative for them to steal. Yeah. And I understand it. I really understand it. But it's sad because I mentioned in a previous stream that when when I was in high school, I had no problem at all walking like 2 miles to home at like 9 o'clock at night. I had no problem. Like as a high schooler, walking alone 2 miles to go home, no problem at all. But last time I was in Hawaii, I remember I was telling people, I said, I don't feel safe even being out past 8 p.m. by myself. Like I feel kind of spooked. And I think that's saying a lot. And it's part of it is because when you have all this expensive housing, right? You have people who become homeless, and then some people they get involved with drugs, and then they get in a very dark place. Now, I'm not saying all homeless people are drug addicts, but what I'm saying is that it's there is a drug crisis that's going on in Hawaii and a homeless problem, and I just wish that we could find affordable housing for everybody, but that's not going to happen. It's such a small little island, and yeah, there was, if any of you guys are curious, there was this a lot of homeless used to live in this park called Kaka'ako Park. Kaka'ako area is kind of like I want to say it's kind of like the hipster area now, hipster slash luxury-ish, wannabe luxury-ish area, where they have all the like Whole Foods over there, and you kind of get the idea. So yeah, they were right in the park there, in the big park, and then they got driven out from there, and the mayor was saying like, oh, it's compassionate displacement or something like that. I forgot what exactly they used, but I thought you're just sweeping people out from the sidewalk so people don't see them, and instead of them going into housing, you're just pushing them off to the other side of the street. It doesn't solve the problem at all. It doesn't. I have heard of the shipping container homes, but I don't know if that would be feasible in Hawaii because land in itself is expensive in Hawaii. It's something like that, like compassion displacement. But we don't have RV camps over there either, so it's not like people can just live in a trailer and be protected from the sun. It's not like that. I really feel really badly for the senior citizens, and why I say that is, like, for instance, the apartment that I live in, I think the maintenance cost is about $800 a month for a 2 bedroom, 2 bathroom, 800 square feet or so apartment. Yeah, yeah. And you got senior citizens who live on a fixed income, and when they see the maintenance going up, 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 right? It's taking out from whatever their retirement savings is. From what I've heard about the homeowners association board, they actually want to raise it up to $1,000 a month. Yes, $1,000 a month. I do not live in a luxury building. Okay, this is a building that was built in the 1960s. And it just looks like an old building, but when people cannot afford their maintenance payments for their apartments, then they have to move, or then they have to move. But where do they move to? There's not that much cheaper places to kind of live in Hawaii. You'd just be moving from one apartment to another apartment, and you always have to deal with maintenance if you live in a homeowners association kind of building. So yeah. I heard in Las Vegas they live in the sewers, but in Hawaii nobody lives in the sewers, not that I'm aware of. And it's just a terrible situation. And when I see the homeless, especially the older people, it really breaks my heart. It really breaks my heart because when I see people who are in like their 70s and 80s and they're sitting out there in the sun, and you have a good feeling like they're just gonna die on the streets, and it's really depressing. I remember there was this one woman when I was in high school. I remember that I went grocery shopping by myself. And this is something that I normally did. Like I said, I felt very safe being by myself in Honolulu. Even as a teenager, just by myself buying groceries. And I was at a bus stop. I was waiting for my bus to come. There was a older homeless lady sitting on the opposite side as me, and she smelled, but I just sat down. And I remember she said something like, "Girl, do you have a skirt?" And she had a piece of cloth around her waist, kind of like a sarong of some sort. I remember that she had the most bright blue eyes, like some of the brightest blue eyes I've ever seen in my life. And before I could answer, she started throwing up. Yeah, she was throwing up, and I was so scared and so shocked that I called the ambulance for her. I called 911. Around the corner was a fire department, and they came. Ambulance came as well, and all they did is they gave her a big trash bag. Yeah, that's it. They just gave her a big trash bag and like maybe a bottle of water. And that was my first, you know, experience thinking, crap, that's all they're gonna do. They're not gonna check up on her. They're not gonna check her stats or anything like that. No. A couple weeks later, I see that the um the bus stop is closed because of like human waste or something like that. Human waste, human liquid, I can't remember, but and then I didn't see her for a while, and then like a year or two passed, and I saw her on the opposite side of the street one day, in the same block, and it was super sunny that day, and she was getting sunburned, and she was in a wheelchair. I called IHS for her, and I remember I was telling them, I said, there's an aging senior citizen over here. She looks like she's about 70 or 80. She's in the sun. She's getting sunburned. Can't you guys send someone to help her out? And they said, oh, they would go, they can send someone to check it out, but it's ultimately up to her if she wants to get help or not. And I don't know what happened after that, but years later, I was at Waikiki, which is, the tourist destination of sorts. And I was with one of my exes, and we were walking down the street in front of some of the stores, and I remember I saw her, and I knew it was the same woman, and she was in a wheelchair, sitting all alone by herself. And yeah, that was the last time I saw her, and I remember distinctively thinking, she is nothing. She doesn't have like a big, she's basically no possessions. She's just in a wheelchair sitting by herself, and she's just waiting to pass away. It's sad. I'm 90% sure she's already passed away, but it's things like that where when you see a person and you know that they're older, you hope that family will take them in. And if there is no family, then these people are waiting to die on the streets, and it's heartbreaking. If you're in a wheelchair especially, it's really heartbreaking. And it really makes me sad. It really, really makes me sad. And there are certain cases that you hear about in Hawaii where 90-year-old women are homeless, and they're in wheelchairs, and they get kicked out of the shelter from a certain time, and then they're out and about around the block, and they're just waiting to go back into the shelter so they can live. And I think to myself, like, that's their life. It's really freaking depressing. It's and they're being shunned by society and their family. Maybe their family doesn't know that they're homeless, or maybe the family doesn't keep in touch with them for whatever reason. But it's very sad that someone has to not only not have a roof over their head, but they have no one to speak to. Wow. You know, with my open disclosure over here, that's one of the um reasons why I was kind of shocked when I came to New York, because in Hawaii, if people are homeless, they don't really ask you for money. You know, they just kind of keep to themselves, and then people give them food, or they give them $1, and they don't hustle you, shall I say. If I go on the subway, most likely I will get hustled, like, can you give $1? Can you spare $1? And if I go in front of like a certain, like the Two Bros Pizza near where the store is, I can almost be guaranteed people are gonna ask me for money, or a slice of pizza. Almost always guaranteed. And yeah, it's it's really. Oh, hello there. Oh, look, all my predators coming over here. The predator is over here. Are you? Oh, whoops! I said his name. Let's see if he comes in the shot. You see him? Well, hello there. Oh, look who's over here. Oh yeah, aren't you sleeping? What you doing over here? You didn't want to nuzzle? Yeah. And I remember, I think it was last week actually. Someone went up to me. So I got out of the apartment over here, right? I walked 30 seconds away, okay? And this person asked me if I could buy them baby milk. I was so shocked, because here's the thing. If you're familiar with how much infant formula is, that thing is not cheap. And also, I'm also very familiar that infant formula is supplied under WIC, you know, women, infant, children. So this male is asking me if I can buy him baby formula, baby milk, and I had my gut instinct was telling me that most likely he wanted it so he could resell it. Maybe, you know, maybe I'm jumping the gun here, but I do know that baby infant formula is some of the stuff that's the most stolen in grocery stores, and it's easy to flip that stuff. If you really need infant formula too, why would you just ask for one canister? You would need more than that, right? Because babies just they, they don't need just one bottle of it or one can of it. They need like a whole bunch of it. And I imagine that if you do have a child, you are very aware of social services. I don't have any experience applying for WIC, but I think there's a pretty good chance of being able to get something. Maybe it's judgmental me. I don't know. Maybe I'm, you know, letting certain things cloud my judgment. But I was thinking, really, you're gonna ask me for baby formula? To buy baby formula too? I've had people ask me for money, but I've never been asked to buy baby formula. I think baby formula is like $30 or so. Maybe 18 to 30. Yeah, it's not that cheap. Mm. And Cuddle Cat is over here. Oreos. What? Also, Oreo's butt seems. Oh wait, let's see. Okay, Oreo, never mind. I spoke too soon. I don't know how Oreo's poop is, but according to your vet Oreo, you're getting a little tub-tip. You're getting a little tubby. I should actually put you on a diet, but I don't know how to put you on a diet because you just eat too much. You just need to be more active, little cat. Stop lying down. Go do some sprints. What is on chat? Come on. Come on. The cat is out of the shot. Oh, you want to give him a shot? Come on. Come on. Are you camera shy? He's camera shy. Oreo. Oreo, wait. What are you doing? Anyway, I'm going to get going. I will talk to you guys later, and I gotta clean Oreo's butt. Yeah, I have to clean your butt, Oreo. So, yeah, you guys take care. See ya.